Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 186. I'm in a great mood, actually, because my mom was vaccinated last week. Well, her first shot anyways, and hoping her second one, which is slated for a few weeks from now, is still all good. You hear about delays and all that, so fingers crossed. I do feel a lot of relief, I gotta say. Well, I hope that you and yours are doing well too and staying healthy. We have a great Tech It Out show planned for you this hour. We're going to kick things off in a moment and learn about a new card game you play with your smart speaker and some friends called Hey Robot. Maybe you've seen it on The Tonight Show, and there's a free online version as well. After that, we're going to learn what an NFT is. It's blowing up on the internet and really, really cool. We'll catch up with Raine Maida, singer of Our Lady Peace, about that, and the CEO of the company Sing. And we're going to learn about the new 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EV and Bolt EUV coming this summer, and they won't break the bank. All of this and more on a brand new Tech It Out, powered by Asus, which I'll tell you more about shortly, but let's kick things off with our first interview. Last week on this show, I had a guest on to talk about some awesome things you can do with your smart speaker, and she mentioned a party game to me, Hey Robot. That did sound familiar because I remember seeing it on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, playing this game with guests like Ricky Gervais, Will Arnett, Tina Fey, and John Mulaney. Joining us to talk about Hey Robot from Everybody House Games is its co-creator, Frank Lantz, who invented the game with family members, Hillary, Mara, and James. Welcome to the show, Frank. Good to have you on the program.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Before we talk about Hey Robot, tell us a bit about your work and some other popular games that your family has been making for decades, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I'm a game designer, and I'm really interested in experimental games. I like to make new kinds of gameplay and figure out new ways of making games that no one's ever seen before. So I've done real-world games of people running around in city streets and games that integrate between different kinds of technology. I'm really interested in exploring the intersections between different types of situations and technology and creating new games there. I've made an iPhone game called Drop 7. That is a simple abstract puzzle game that is pretty well known. And a couple of years ago, I made a game called Universal Paperclips, which is a game where you play an AI that makes paperclips. Those are probably two of my more well-known games that I've worked on.
Okay, awesome. And I know about Invisible Ink, and there's a few others as well.
So in Everybody House Games is a little company that I started with my wife and our son James and his wife Mara, and so we wanted a little project that would enable us to collaborate and make games, and so Invisible Ink is something that James made on his own before Everybody House Games got started, when he was working at Clay, which is a video game studio. Invisible Ink is a brilliant turn-based stealth tactics game set in a kind of cyberpunk espionage world that is, it's beautiful.
Love it. All right. So at a high level, tell us about Hey Robot. What's it all about?
So Hey Robot is a party game that you play with a smart speaker. So if you have Alexa or Google Home and you're trying to get the smart speaker to say the word on the card without using the word yourself. That's it in a nutshell. It's a classic kind of party game. It's a little bit like Codenames or Taboo. We had one of these things and we were playing around with it. We started to have fun, and that was the inspiration.
And considering how many of us have a smart speaker now, I think 1 in 5 Americans have an Alexa, and then about 8% of the population have a Google. I mean, you've already got that install base. You just need your game to get going. So that's that's pretty exciting. So it's kind of like, as you said, Codenames or Taboo or maybe Password, but with an AI twist. So you're trying to get Alexa or the Google Assistant, or maybe to a lesser extent Siri, to say the word. So can you give us an example?
So like an example would be the word smell, right?
Okay.
And
so I could say name, one of the 5 senses. right?
Yeah, what are the five senses? Maybe that would get you there.
Yeah, or what is your nose used for?
Yeah, well, yeah. The thing that makes it work is that it's sort of surprisingly challenging, right? You think of it, you're like, okay, well, that's going to be trivially easy. But then when you try to do it, you realize how tricky it can be to sort of give you the word you thought or the answer that you predicted. And so that's what makes it fun.
I was watching a YouTube clip of Jimmy Fallon playing it with John Mulaney, and one of the words was Alcatraz. And he said, name a prison near San Francisco, whatever. And it named another one.
It's funny because we use language all the time, but we don't really often stop to think about the logic behind the language we use. And when you and I are talking, we're using so much common sense and context to communicate. And that's the thing that's missing from these AI implementations of language, is that they can be very smart in terms of their access to data, but they don't have any of these layers of kind of contextual common sense that we rely on to actually communicate. So having kind of exploring that and having it break down in funny ways is what the game's all about.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the game has done quite well during COVID. Did you come up with this pre-pandemic and it was just really good timing for people to want to entertain themselves? Yeah.
We came up with this over a year ago, like I guess a year and a half ago or something like that. So it was,
I think November of 2019, I think it hit Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then once COVID hit, we realized we started to see that people were playing it on Zoom. And so just organically, people were discovering it and playing it remotely. And so we thought, let's make a version that people can play remotely. So we made the Quarantine Edition, which is at playheyrobot.com, and it just gives you a version of the game that is easy to kind of like play online. And so it turned out that it was just a kind of a good fit, just accidentally.
Timing aside, to what do you attribute its success?
Well, I think it's one of those games that's easy to grok. As soon as you describe it, people get the idea and you can kind of play along in your head. And then it's also just funny. I mean, it's just the kind of game that once you start playing, it often ends up that you just have these ridiculous, hilarious situations where you just can't. It's so frustrating because you can't get them to say this very simple word, and you're going back and forth, and they're giving you all of these kind of ridiculous, weird tangents and stuff. So we just had, sessions where we've been peeing in our pants because of how ridiculous and funny it is. And I think that's ultimately what makes the game great.
And sometimes you get an NSFW word like screw. And it's got that little after dark flavor to it, and you want to have some fun with your speaker. So this is great. We're chatting with Frank Lantz. He is the creator of Hey Robot from Everybody House Games, and he worked on the game with his partner Hillary as well as his son James and his partner Mara. This is a great game. Now, how cool was it to see the game embraced on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and how did that come about? Was that organic, or was that was that a partnership?
They just reached out to us. I got an email from the person who manages the games that Jimmy plays on the Tonight Show and said, "Hey, I heard about this game. Is it okay if we play it on the show?" And I was like, "Absolutely!" And so then they did, and they actually used the game and the cards, and they've taken the branding that we created for the game and really used that for their segment, and we were just thrilled because that's everything. When you see people having fun with the game that you created, it's balm for the soul. That's exactly what game designers want to see. They just want to see the game work. So every time that they run that as a segment, we're thrilled.
Yeah, they turned it into a bit with a theme song, no less.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
You must have just been smiling ear to ear when you heard that.
Yeah. So we love it.
Did you see a spike in sales when it started on the Tonight Show?
Yeah, well, the first time it started on the Tonight Show was kind of in between. So we just recently got a version. So we finished delivering the Kickstarter version, and we just recently got a version up on Amazon. And so when they first started doing the segment on the Tonight Show, there was no way to buy the game because the Kickstarter had ended, but we didn't have it up on Amazon yet. But now that we've got it up on Amazon, every time they do a segment, we definitely see a spike in sales. So, so hey, that's great. And we love it.
All right. And then there is a free digital version, as you mentioned, called the Quarantine Edition, and that's at playheyrobot.com. That's right. And it's completely free. And with the same number of questions as the card edition?
No, it's kind of a pared down version. So if you want the full experience, you go to Amazon and pick it up there.
Yeah. So without further ado, how much is the game, and is Amazon the best place to buy it?
Yeah, it's $24.99 on Amazon, and that's the only place to get it right now. So definitely the right place to go.
All right. Hey Robot. It's about $25 at Amazon.com. We've been chatting with Frank Lantz, and then the website to learn more.
If you go to everybodyhousegames.com, you can learn all about us, and there's a page there for Hey Robot and some of the other weird games that we've made.
All right. Everybodyhousegames.com. Frank, it's been great chatting with you. Congratulations once again, and continued success. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mark.
I enjoyed that interview. Hope you did as well. You are listening to Tech It Out, powered by Asus. For those in search of incredible, I'll tell you about their laptops after this short break. We're also going to learn about an NFT blowing up on the internet. What is it? Stay with us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. This show is powered by Asus, the company that creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes its line of award-winning laptops, like its ZenBooks, its VivoBooks, ExpertBooks, Chromebooks, and even its Republic of Gamers, or ROG branded gaming laptops as well. Check out asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. If you've spent any time online over the past couple of weeks, you've no doubt noticed there's a ton of buzz surrounding a little three-letter acronym, NFT. It's a kind of digital asset that you can own, manage, and sell. But there's a lot more to it. And so to break it down for us, we're joined by Sing, a company that's offering a way for content creators to protect their work via their app. Joining us from Sing is Geoff Osler. He's CEO and co-founder, as well as Raine Maida, Chief Product Officer. And if Raine's name sounds familiar, he is, of course, a renowned musician, best known as lead vocalist of the multi-platinum selling band Our Lady Peace. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Good to chat with you both.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks so much, Mark.
All right, so Geoff, let's start with you. Before we talk about Sing, please explain what an NFT is.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So the key word here is fungible. It's the F in NFT. Something that is fungible is like currency. It's got value, but the number of them is limited. So one $100 bill is as good as any other, and you don't really care which one you get. Something that isn't fungible or is non-fungible is something like your home or a piece of art, something that is unique. It has value, but there's only one of them. The challenge has been to create something online that is non-fungible and to prove it, to prove that there's only one. And that's what an NFT is, a non-fungible token. A token is like a Bitcoin, or it's like an ETH coin. And a non-fungible token is this new standard ERC 721 that's non-fungible. It's a big deal because now you can prove that there's that a particular asset is absolutely unique.
All right. And like cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, this is built upon the blockchain, which is an online ledger of sorts. And that's what underpins these cryptocurrencies. And when something is transacted, you can't just freely duplicate it like you can with, say, an MP3 file on the internet, because it's all validated and it's like zeros and ones. When it's gifted or purchased, it is removed from the original source. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think you've absolutely got it.
Okay.
It's cryptographically or mathematically provable that there's only one of them. It's completely unique.
And I understand last October, a Miami-based art collector spent almost $67,000 on a 10-second video artwork that he could have watched for free online. And then last week I read he sold it for about $6.5 million. So how does that kind of thing happen, especially if you can also access it for free?
Yeah, great question. Well, it's an NFT, right? So he was able to cryptographically prove that what he was selling was unique. It was the original. And that's what's new about this. For example, I can go on to Spotify or go online and other different sources, and I can listen to one of Raine's songs all day long, and I can enjoy it, and I can listen to it in high resolution, but I don't own it. Raine does.
Yeah.
He owns the original master of this thing, and this is a way of proving that online. Now, Raine could theoretically decide that he wants to sell one of his songs. He could make an NFT out of it. He could transfer the rights to me, and I'm willing to bet you that we'd pay him at least $6 million for it.
So, Raine, with your background in music, including fronting the band Our Lady Peace, as well as your work with your wife, Chantal Kraviachik, does this mean musicians can then better monetize their work, in a more meaningful way? I also read that Kings of Leon will be the first band to release an album as an NFT.
Yeah, I mean, I think as artists, as creators, we've always had a little bit of trouble on three fronts. And this is talking about control. So controlling distribution, obviously how we monetize it. And then in terms of the community and what that means to us and how we build that as creators. And what NFTs do, they actually, they give artists and creators this kind of superpower, which is amazing. Because now I think you're opening up an economy where we're not kind of hostage to these platforms. I won't name any names, but these platforms, be it social or streaming, that have a strong hold on our content, labels that, have a strong hold on what we do with our rights, and brands basically. And this is new in the influencer world, where brands, kind of trade, or they think exposure is the currency. And so, you kind of, we've always been in, and I felt this from very early on, where you feel like you're in this kind of holistic monopoly. And I think that might end with NFTs. I think you have this, especially you're given this unique opportunity to connect directly to the fan now.
Great point. And I've heard many artists in the past complain about streaming services that pay, 0.00001 cents on a stream or what have you. Or worse, people are pirating music and not paying anything at all to the rightful owners. So this is a way to right the wrong, if you will, to put that proverbial cat back in the bag with NFTs. Now, Geoff, without further ado, let's talk about Sing and how you solve this problem for content creators. So it is a free app that gives creators the control to distribute and monetize their work.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Mark. Sing actually comes from the intellectual property space, specifically around patents. We built a solution, a platform a few years ago that allows people to prove that they own an idea. They get a digital timestamp and it's put out on the blockchain. We realized about 18 months ago, however, that intellectual property more broadly applies to music and photography and art and graphic design. And since then, it's been picked up by the arts community, by creators, by musicians, as being a method of protecting their intellectual property. What gets really interesting right now for us is that the base technology that Sing has been using now for the last 3 years is an NFT. And you can do this without any cryptographic knowledge whatsoever. You don't need to have a digital wallet, and you wind up taking whatever belongs to you and creating an NFT easily and for free.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Geoff Osler, CEO and co-founder of Sing, along with Chief Product Officer Raine Maida, renowned musician as well. So Raine, with that in mind, how did you get involved with Sing?
I was very interested in tech the day that Napster launched and Sean Fanning started literally pulling money out of my pocket. And so, being involved firsthand in this kind of paradigm shift in the music business, it's always been fascinating to me. And so I got into tech probably, 13 or 14 years ago, built 5 or 6 different products, launched, the startup world, I think is really no different than being a band. A band is essentially a startup. You have to hear no a lot. You have to fail a lot, and you have to be okay with all that. And I already went through that. So the startup world on the tech side really didn't intimidate me. And building products is, to me, I see a lot of parallels with building a song as well. And the great thing about tech is that if it's not right the first time and you release it, you do have a chance to pivot and change things. Where a song, once it's kind of out there, it's out there. So Sing was very kind of natural progression in terms of, I've been involved in a couple things in terms of IP in the past. And what Geoff presented was, the ability to really disrupt this world where creators need a tool like Sing because they are creating exponentially more than someone like myself does, with maybe releasing 10 or 20 pieces of content a year. The new creator is 10 or 20x that. And really, is, again, when we get back to what clout means for a creator, probably more invested in followers and clout than understanding how valuable every piece of idea is. And that's what Sing protects. In terms of, how we create just through our technology, NFTs, that's just, I don't want to say a bonus, but it's just, we bet on blockchain, obviously, in the beginning, and now it's paying off in a much more, potentially, like we said, a new economy for creators, which is just, amazingly exciting.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if NFTs would have this kind of level of popularity if it weren't for the huge spike in cryptocurrency these days, it seems, with blockchain hitting as much as $70,000 per coin, and with Elon Musk's hype around it. Do you think there's some parallels there, Geoff?
Yeah, I absolutely do. To touch on that theme again, the cryptocurrency space is interesting. It's exploding. I don't think it's going away. What's interesting to me, though, is that while you've always been able to, or at least for the past few years, been able to buy, sell, trade, speculate using cryptocurrency itself, there's nothing to buy. Sure, you can sell stuff and go buy a Lamborghini, I suppose, if you're a Bitcoin millionaire, but you can't buy anything in that space. NFTs change all of that. You can bring digital objects or physical objects into this space and to know with absolute certainty that the thing you're buying, there's only one of. So it's kind of like all this money is floating around. Now there's something to buy.
Yeah, the understanding of NFTs separate from crypto is that what this allows a creator and a fan is that participation. Because up until now, you don't get to participate in ownership. I think Bowie is he was a bit of a trailblazer when he did an IPO on his publishing. I think he did it for different reasons. He wasn't very bullish on digital rights, sustaining with streaming. But what's happening now is all of a sudden now a fan, I'm not exactly sure what Kings of Leon are doing. I think they're just kind of adding on to the album, but actually OLP is we're in the works now of setting up a drop that will allow users or fans, I should say, to actually buy the 11th song from our forthcoming album, which is Spiritual Machines 2, which is, based on Ray Kurzweil's book and very futurist thinking. So I think there's some great synergy there. So actually selling the rights to a song is incredibly exciting to me and the band because of that participation. I didn't get on the David Bowie IPO, but man, I would have loved to own a piece of honestly, any of his songs, but Life on Mars, which is one of my favorites, to actually be a participant in that would be incredible. And I think that's what we're offering for the first time creators and whether you're a graphic artist or musician, participation.
Yeah, awesome. Before we wrap up, Geoff, if Sing is free for the app to be downloaded and used, how does the company make money exactly? Well,
there's lots of opportunities, I think, to monetize this down the road. But I think a really important thing about Sing is that and this has been the case since its inception, we regard ourselves as being by creators and for creators. And I think you can witness that with, you can hear the passion in Raine's voice and his involvement. So the first thing that's important to note, I think, is that what we have is something that's always going to be available and of use for free to anybody who wants to use it. You'll be able to get on the platform, you'll be able to create NFTs, and you'll be able to protect your work. Down the road, of course, as people want to expand their use of the platform, we'll have different options that we'll add on, storage options, those kinds of things. And of course, we'll help people create the smart contracts that will protect their work and allow them to sell them. And that lets us enter into a business relationship with creatives and help them out. So the short answer is, we want interest, we want people on the platform, we want people talking about it and helping us to build this thing from the creative community up. And there'll be plenty of chances to make money as we go forward, and we're very excited about all of it.
Okay. It's downloadable from the Apple App Store for iPhone and iPad, if I'm not mistaken, Geoff. Is there a reason why it's not on Android yet? And is there a website where we can learn more about Sing?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good question. It's, you just have to start somewhere. We wanted to get this app built as quickly and as well as we could. And that meant reaching out to the creative community. So we began with iOS, but Android is a fast follow. And we recognize the need to get this into everybody's hands. So we're working hard on that right now. The easiest way to find it is actually at the company website, which is just sing.link. And at that address, you can read a little bit about more, but right at the very top of the webpage itself is a download button that takes you right to the App Store.
Okay, sing.link to learn more and to download the app. Or if you do want to go to the App Store, Sing is stylized as the letter S and then an exclamation mark, N and G, and you'll be able to find it as well. Geoff and Raine, great chatting with you. Best of luck on Sing and your work surrounding NFTs. Very exciting. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks so much, Mark.
And Raine, I'm looking forward to the new record as well. Congrats.
Oh, thank you.
So here's a little known fact, and I told this to Raine before we recorded the interview for Tech It Out. As many of my listeners know, I was a drummer and manager of a band called Remedy. We broke up in the mid-90s as I was getting into tech. And one of our last concerts, I was thrilled that we opened up for Our Lady Peace. I told Raine that it's kind of a small world, huh? That now I'm interviewing him about tech, but I opened up for his band in Toronto at a really cool club called Lee's Palace, if I'm not mistaken. Anyhow, funny how the worlds collide, right? When we return on Tech It Out, we are going to learn all about Chevrolet's new EVs, electric vehicles, just unveiled last week. The 2022 Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV, an electric utility vehicle. We're going to learn how they won't break the bank. Stick with us. You are listening to Tech It Out. We'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Check it out. Hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio American Network. In case you missed the big news, the 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EV, an all-electric vehicle, was announced late last month, which looks cooler, I'd argue, and packs more features than its predecessor, and will cost less too. And the Bolt EV is gaining a big brother as well, the 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EUV, an electric utility vehicle. Joining us to share more details on both models is Robert Mantinen. He is the program engineering manager for the Chevrolet Bolt EV and EUV. Welcome to Tech It Out, Rob. Good to chat with you.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
Before we talk about the new vehicles, at a high level, why is electrification so important to General Motors and Chevrolet as well?
Yeah, so from a GM perspective, our CEO, has announced a very clear vision for the company: zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. So electrification of the automobile and EVs, more specifically, are very key to trying to get to that desired state in the future, especially when we're talking about zero emissions.
Mm-hmm. I saw Mary Barra's keynote at the Consumer Electronics Show, and I know that as many as 30-odd vehicles under the GM banner will be electrified by 2025. It's pretty ambitious, but off to a great start with a lot of the announcements this year, Rob. And that leads me to the Bolt family. So these have been around for a while, but there's some new Bolts that were just unveiled. Let's start with the 2022 Bolt EV.
Yeah, the Bolt EV, obviously we launched that product originally in 2017, and now we're excited for 2022 to offer a mid-cycle enhancement to the vehicle. We've got all new exterior styling, front and rear fascias, a whole new interior, which we're really excited about, really upgrading with more premium soft touch materials, a whole new infotainment system. And we're even able to offer now as standard what we call Chevy Safety Assist, which is a suite of active safety features such as automatic emergency braking, forward collision alert, lane keep assist, and pedestrian detection. So we're just so thrilled to be able to offer so much more safety content as standard and a whole new look and feel to the vehicle that I think customers are really going to find appealing.
No doubt. So it's not just a redesign, but also some improvements under the hood as well, as you're hinting at. What about range? How does the range compare to other EVs out there? What are you getting for a full charge?
Yeah, so for the Bolt EV, in the 2020 model year, we came out with a whole new battery chemistry that increased our range to 259 miles. And now for the 2022 model, we are leveraging that proven battery technology from the current vehicle. And so the new model year 2022 will get the same range of 259 miles on a full charge. And, with your average daily commute for most customers of 40 or 50 miles a day, it really offers just a ton of range, easy to run around town and get everything done.
And I know that your vehicle can support both a regular 120 volt AC outlet, but it's always preferred to have a level 2 or 240 volt installed. And a lot of your customers do that in their garage or carport or whatever. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Some of our customers, or many of them, do go to a level 2, but interestingly or surprisingly, a good chunk of them can live day to day with just a regular 120 volt outlet. Now, the exciting thing that we've announced for 2022 is that Chevrolet is going to offer a limited included electrical installation of a 240 volt outlet. And so, with GM's and Chevrolet's mission to put everybody in an EV, I think customers are really going to love that. The ease of comes with the vehicle, you sign up for it, and everything's kind of taken care of. And that's done through our partnership with Q-Merit. You just sign up right online and the rest is basically taken care of for you.
All right. Very cool. And as a techie, I like to hear about support for CarPlay and Android Auto. Whether you're on an iPhone or an Android device, you can have the dashboard somewhat mirror your familiar home screen, and you've got voice support for extra safety. I love all that. Tell us about the Super Cruise technology. I think it was first introduced in the Cadillac lineup.
Yeah, actually not available on the Bolt EV, but it will be available on the Bolt EUV, the big brother, as you called it. So yeah, super exciting. This will be the first non-Cadillac and the first Chevrolet to get the Super Cruise technology, and it will be available as an option on a Bolt EUV. It's such a great technology because it uses two kind of key enablers to allow hands-free driving. So true hands-free driver assistance system on limited roads, so your divided highways, your interstates. And the way we do that is using a combination of a driver attention system and precision LiDAR map data. So we actually have a map company that will go out and map. We've got over 200,000 miles in the US and Canada of mapped divided highways. And then we use that map data along with sensors on the car, cameras, and radars to center the vehicle in the lane and make sure that we are centered. And then we're using the driver attention system to make sure that the driver pays attention to the road at all times. So the driver is there monitoring the situation and ready to take the wheel if necessary. But, as you're cruising along, the system is taking a lot of the workload off the driver by centering the car, maintaining your speed, and the gap between you and the car in front of you.
Yeah, I've had a chance to test drive Super Cruise on a CT6, a Cadillac, and it's pretty wild. So great to see it coming to the 2022 Bolt EUV, which we're going to hear more about in a moment. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Rob Mantinen. He is Program Engineering Manager for the Chevrolet Bolt EV and EUV. Before we pivot and talk EUV, how much will the 2022 Bolt EV cost? And what's the rough ETA? I think it's the late summer?
Yeah, so we're really excited to announce our new pricing. And so the Bolt EV will start at $31,995, including destination. And the availability would be this summer, 2021.
And would our listeners be eligible for any kind of state-based tax credit?
Yeah, so there are some cases where there are either state or local incentives for the purchase of these vehicles. So I would encourage, your listeners to check the situation in their local area, wherever they may be, to see if there are any incentives for these. But we've priced the vehicle, we think, at a very attainable level.
Yeah, no, that's a very attractive price point. That's about $5,000 less than the last Bolt.
I think it's just over $5,000. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but yeah, it's a big discount. And with all the new standard features, I mean, we really are offering a lot more for less. And that fits in, I think, with the value that Chevrolet as a brand brings to the market. And I think that's a great fit for us.
Not to mention you'll never be buying gas again. So
yeah.
Now let's talk about the 2022 Bolt EUV. I'm assuming the U stands for utility.
That's right. Yep. So the Bolt EUV is kind of the Bolt EV take on an SUV. We've lengthened the vehicle about 6 inches overall, and the wheelbase has been lengthened about 3 inches, and all of that extra space goes into the rear seat. So it allows us to have, a larger rear door opening, making entry and egress to the back seat easier for people who have car seats. Just the rear seat legroom is about 3 inches more. So
comparable horsepower to the EV?
Yeah, so it uses the same propulsion system as the EVs. 0 to 60 time is similar.
And if it's slightly heavier, I'm assuming, Rob, that the range might be slightly smaller as well. Is that fair?
It is fair, yeah. So right now, GM is estimating that we will get about 250 miles of range out of the EUV as opposed to the Bolt EV, which gets 259. So very close, less than 10 miles difference. We've submitted that to the EPA, and we're basically waiting now to get that certified. And once that's certified, then that will be kind of the official label range.
Yeah, that's like splitting hairs, though. It's not much of a difference. And,
yep.
and just to be clear, it is an SUV-like EV, but it's not four-wheel drive. We should clarify.
That's correct. Yep. It's a front-wheel drive propulsion system. Yep. And we're not offering all-wheel drive on this vehicle.
And then another differentiator is the optional Super Cruise support for hands-free driving. So when will the 2022 Bolt EUV debut? Is it going to be around the same time as the EV? And how much will it cost to start?
Yes, availability for the EUV, the Bolt EUV, is also summer 2021. The starting price on the Bolt EUV is $33,995, again, including destination charge. We think that's a really attractive starting price, especially with all of the standard equipment that comes with the vehicle.
All right. And is there also that promotion to include a level 2 charger?
Yeah, so the Bolt EUV will actually come standard with what we call the dual level charge cord that allows you to charge both on a 120 volt outlet as well as a 240 volt outlet. The Bolt EUV will also have the same offer to have an electrician come to your home and install the 240 volt outlet that you need to be able to plug in the dual level charge cord and get the higher, faster charge rate at home.
Before we wrap up, Rob, do both vehicles support the level 3, the fast charging at stations across the country?
Yeah, so the Bolt EV and the EUV both will come with standard DC fast charging, and we use the SAE combo CCS charging port, which is what you see, across most of the industry using here in North America. And so we'll be able to charge at all of the major charging networks that are out there, the public ones. We can expect to charge the vehicle up to 100 miles in 30 minutes for the Bolt EV and up to 95 miles in 30 minutes on the Bolt EUV.
All right. And then the best website to learn more, Rob, is it simply Chevrolet.com, or is there a special URL?
Yeah, you can go to Chevrolet.com and look at the upcoming vehicles. You can also go to Chevy.com/EV, and you'll get to see all of our launch material that we've put on there. You can also go on there today and reserve the Bolt EV or the Bolt EUV that you would like.
All right. I'm sure there's different color combinations to choose from. Rob Mantina, it's been great chatting with you, and looking forward to chatting with you again soon. All the best.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into Tech It Out, everyone. This show is powered by ASUS. For those in search of incredible, head over to asus.com/US/radio to learn more. Also, a big thank you to Western Digital and their awesome selection of SSDs and hard drives as well. Have a happy and healthy week ahead, and I look forward to catching up with you next weekend on a brand new episode of Tech It Out. Be well. Ciao.